What's up, everybody? Jill and Nathan here.
Good morning, guys.
Welcome back to Whispering Willow Farm. It is the day after Thanksgiving, and as you can see, it is pretty gross here.
Nasty, not too cold.
Not too cold, but just muggy, and it rained all day yesterday. Supposed to rain all day today, all weekend, so we took this little break in the weather to come out and feed animals.
I'm about to jump on packaging up all of your orders.
Yes, so it's Black Friday. Our Christmas mug went live today, so if you've been looking at this, it's officially live on the site, and then we did 20% off the site for Black Friday. So I'll put a link down here in the code you can use, but Nathan's been working on that.
My phone has been going ding, ding.
We appreciate you guys so much. It's so important that we just shop locally, shop small, shop intentionally. I know this is something that Nathan and I do as a small business owner. We really love the opportunity to support other small businesses, but we never take for granted how you guys love and support us. So at the front end of this vlog, thank you guys so much for shopping small and supporting our small business. We
appreciate it.
We really do appreciate it. So
I'm about to get to work.
Let's go check on animals. I wanted to show you guys the sheep. They're adjusting really well, but
I'm about to put Lily in here.
Okay, you put Lily in there. We've been having some issues with, we brought home 2 dogs that were dumped. We live on a really just country road, and we have a bad problem with animals getting dumped here, specifically cats, but some dogs got dumped here, ended up having a litter. The neighbor came and asked us if we would take a couple of them, and we said yes, because we were getting the sheep. We knew we would need more guard dogs, and unfortunately we have had some issues with these dogs. Hello, good morning. So we've had some issues with the dogs. Nathan spent probably 2 weeks, let me drop my coffee. Nathan spent like 2 weeks leading them in with the chickens with a leash, like showing them what to do. You know, he would get onto them when they would try to chase the chicken, and like he felt really confident that we could move forward leaving them in there with the chickens, which was not the case. We were out of town this weekend, and we came back to 3 birds missing, and unfortunately we are assuming that they didn't just go missing, that one of these dogs has gotten them. So now we are trying to move them out, retrain. Honestly too, like if they're not going to be good guard dogs, then we're going to have to probably get rid of them. We've tried to put them in with our goats. The goats hate them. They literally get out of anywhere we put them. They do not like the pigs. So Nathan bought more hot wire so that we can try to run the hot wire to get them, or I guess to keep them from escaping. However, it hasn't quite solved the problem of them and the chickens, but obviously that's not gonna fly on the farm. So we're trying to troubleshoot and figure that out. So aside from dealing with that drama, something happened that I cannot believe happened. I'm so incredibly annoyed, primarily with myself, and we'll go take a look at that here in a minute. Hi. So we've got Gertrude, and we haven't named the other ones yet. Hi. What you think about me? Can I pet you? Oh, that's sweet. Yeah. I know, that's what I was just telling them. We've got Gertrude, which came named. We're trying to just pet them often and get them used to us. Hi. What do you think about my camera? Huh? What do you think about that? Unfortunately, you're going to have to get used to it.
You ever met any sheep that don't eat hay? Like, I cannot get them to eat hay.
They're picky.
They are picky.
You picky little sheep. Look, so well, they're all 3 pregnant, but you can tell this one is further along. Look at her little fat belly. I think she's due in what, February, and the rest of them aren't due until March.
Yeah, I think she's due February 27th, maybe.
Yeah. Hey, girls. Hi. They do give warning signs though, so like when the dogs have come in here and they don't like them, they start by like stomping their foot, and then they'll start to ram, which thankfully we've not had that issue with us at all. Only with the dogs. Here, girls. Hey. Hey, what you doing? What you doing, huh? Oh yeah, they're definitely eating it. So all in all, they've been adjusting really well. Wouldn't you say, Nate?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think they're adjusting well. They're so sweet. Hearing their little calls is so nice. Like I said, we've been able to get in here with them. They're kind of skittish because it's just a new surrounding, new people. But we've been coming in here, trying to pet them every time we're feeding them, trying to say hi. And I think they're warming up pretty well. Like, I've been able to pet them. Nathan's been able to pet them.
Yeah.
So far, though, they do not like the dogs in here with them. I was just telling them about our dog debacle on these 2 new pups that we got. We have had the hardest times with dogs. I'll be completely transparent. So we've had Lily forever, which is our blue heeler. We've had Simba for several years, and there was this weird bout with him this summer when he kind of like attacked one of our piglets. Other than that, he's been fine. We brought home Dahlia, which was a Great Pyrenees, full-blooded Great Pyrenees that we bought. We kept her here. She loved the pig. She was a great dog. And then one day she's gone. Can't find her. We spent weeks and weeks looking for her. She had a collar on with like her, you know, her name, our phone number, like the whole 9 yards. She's just poof gone. Spent a lot of money on that dog. We put down a deposit on another dog, Great Pyrenees, never got it. For various reasons. And then we get these 2 mutts and they are now killing our chickens. And so we have just had the hardest times with dogs. It's so frustrating, if I'm being completely honest. It's so stinking frustrating. I don't even know what to do because we have all these animals and they all need to be guarded, and 2 dogs can't, you know, guard 4.5 acres. So
I don't know what to do either. Suggestions, but I'm either gonna have to find them a new home.
Yeah, which is probably what's gonna need to happen, because not only are they not doing their job well, they're destroying everything on the farm that they could possibly destroy. They got into my high tunnel.
They're pups.
I mean, Dahlia was a puppy and she wasn't quite like this. So they got into my high tunnel. They ran through all of my beds and killed a lot of things. So
No more than the frost did.
I know. You guys, all my peppers are officially done. So you can see we do not have our high tunnel heated, and it's not, we're dealing with a lot of air issues on the side. So that's one of mine and Nathan's big projects. You can see there it blowing over there. That's a big project Nathan and I have to tackle next week, is to get those secured, but it is a several day process that someone is not looking forward to.
I've never done it, don't know how to do it. We'll figure it out though.
Oh, there's a YouTube video for it.
I'm sure there's a YouTube video.
So I'm going to go through, harvest the rest of these peppers. I am making a lot of handmade gifts this year, which I'll be doing more content on this. So I'm thinking I'm going to do something fun with these for the holidays, because we have literally put up all the peppers I care to put up. And so I think I might do some sort of like spice blend or something like that. So these are the shishitos down here. Honestly, I don't remember having peppers in here this long last year. I think we took them out the beginning of November.
I think we did, just because we needed the space for something else.
But I mean, the end of November, nearing December, for a heat-loving plant, it's doing so great. Unfortunately, though, we had our first 3 days of down in the 20s, and all of my fall tomatoes completely died. So I was so devastated. We've been feeding these to the pigs because there weren't even any we could salvage. So we'll go through, rip these out next week, feed them all to the piggies. However, my cold-loving things are doing quite well. So my celery in here, check this out. I'll be making some celery soup with this, which was why I planted it. And it's doing great. Just looks really, really good. We've got our spinach in here still, which I've been harvesting some off of, but you can see we got some good spinach. We have got this is like all of our radishes right here, which you can see they are starting to come up too. Look at them. So that's great. And then we have our kohlrabi, which is getting pretty big. Oh yeah, some of these are getting massive. So these are all doing good. And then here's some of the brassicas. This whole area was where the dogs ended up coming through. So you can see I have a lot of broken plants, but all of my brassicas in that bed are doing great. And I had these little grids, I think I showed you guys, of my beets and my lettuce, which we've been harvesting some of these, and then our green onions. This was the beans that didn't survive, and then here are all the hot peppers that we will be harvesting, and then obviously take out because the plants are no good. So this time of year is always tricky. It is a balancing act. I feel like many growers experience this in all different seasons, right? Whether you're growing in the summertime and it's getting super hot and you're having to balance that and disease and pruning constantly, or you're growing in the wintertime and you are balancing the elements of extreme, cold climates and harsh frost. We are growing in a high tunnel, which does provide us a lot of protection. However, we choose not to heat our high tunnel. One, because we grow a lot of food in the summertime and we're still able to grow those cold tolerant things in here and still have enough food for our family. However, once I take out all these peppers, I take out the tomatoes, we just harvested the ginger, there's a lot that's bare in the high tunnel. And so now I'm having to go back through and reevaluate. I'm trying to figure out what are some things I can still continue to grow so we can still eat throughout the winter. So that's going to be a lot of turnips and rutabagas, things that I can use as starches, a lot of beets, a lot more carrots. And so we'll have this massive shift where we're really now cleaning out that second wave of those fall crops that can't withstand, this cold weather, and we'll sow again all of our really frost hardy things that can still germinate. This I was prepared for, right? Like, I knew our peppers would be dying out. I knew I'd have to take out the cucumbers. I had a pretty good feeling that the tomatoes weren't gonna make it. Because we had consecutively cold nights when it dropped lower than 20, we usually don't experience this type of winter until around January. And so when I saw that on the radar and on the forecast, I thought, oh man, I'm in trouble. And the tomatoes aren't one of those things that I could add additional row cover to. But what I didn't expect was the toll it would take on my outdoor garden. So we'll go talk about that in a second. So every season we prepare the farm, right? Whether we're winterizing it with our well houses, we're ripping out those summer plants to make way for our cold, tolerant, frost hardy plants. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. You're constantly thinking about what's going to happen, what's going to take place on the farm, what needs to be done. It's this continual checklist that goes on in your brain. And for some reason, I guess maybe with the busyness of this season, there was something on that checklist that did not happen. I cannot believe this happened. I'm frustrated with myself that I didn't do this. I can't even really explain it other than I'm just super annoyed. But the truth is, it happened. So let's go take... is that we need to get out our 9-gauge wire, we need to get out our frost cover. And the reason that we do this is the plants that we have outside that haven't quite matured yet and they still need to grow, it adds a layer of protection. I like to think of it as kind of like a warm blanket. Now sometimes it isn't needed if you live in a climate that doesn't get super cold, or maybe let's say you got your plants out right at the end of summer and they're super established and you would be harvesting them right now. However, I planted majority of my things later. And so behind me, I've got all these different cauliflower varieties. There's a cheddar, there's a graffiti, there's a purple, like there's all these different fun, funky varieties. But what happened is those varieties I have found take a little bit longer to grow than just a standard cauliflower plant. For whatever reason, I'm not real sure, but that's just kind of my assessment here. And so what's happened is these plants weren't super established. They weren't really big yet, and we got cold after cold after cold. I mean, it was dropping down below 20 degrees. It wasn't getting higher than 40 during the day. And what happened is I didn't come out here and I didn't put row cover. And so now my plant is starting to really see the effects of that. So you see this fun wilted leaf that has got just frost damage all over it? This is pretty much what most of my plants look like, on top of rain after rain after rain. So I just told you guys it's been raining for days. It's going to continue to rain for days. So not only do you have, those harsh frosts that are coming a lot earlier for me in my climate, my zone, I'm toppling that with all this, wet moisture, and it's just causing all of my plants to become really limp. So there are a couple things that have happened now. One, my plants have really slowed down and been stunted from growing. Some of these I'm not even sure that they're going to continue to grow. And then some of mine that were close to being harvestable, it has actually affected the vegetable itself. So some of the broccoli itself has been frost damage on the head of broccoli. Some of the celery, which you guys can see here, it has completely wilted it. I don't even think at this point, because the temperatures are going to continue to drop and get colder, that it will actually rebound and, produce celery. And so for me, this is devastating, because something that I wouldn't typically have had to do here, put on, row cover and frost cover, I usually am not having to worry about this until January. I should have been prepared for it, and I wasn't. And unfortunately, it has affected my crops in a pretty large way. Now the bright side is I grew over 100 pounds of cauliflower last year. So I have so much cauliflower in the freezer that we have just like frozen in little florets. We have, processed into cauliflower rice. We have done some purees to where we could use them as soups or potatoes. So for the cauliflower in particular, I have plenty of cauliflower. However, this was a lot of work, you guys, like starting these seeds, transplanting them out. This is something that I've been laboring and working on for months and months and months. And then same with the broccoli. Some of the broccoli is harvestable, but other than that, I'm going to have to quickly cut the heads, store them, and then take these plants and compost them. And when it comes to my Napa cabbage, I'm going to have to make kimchi next week, because what's happening is with the wet from the rain and just the condensed planting that I do, so it's starting to have a really funky smell. And I know if I don't get these out soon, then as I pull back these layers, it's just going to become rotten and mush, and I don't want that. Like I worked really hard on this, so I'm confused because I can't believe this is happening this quickly. Like granted, I could have been stalking the forecast, but it's just crazy to me that this is something that I don't usually have to be worrying about for a few months now. It's already starting to really have an effect on my crops. I'm annoyed with myself because that mental checklist, I didn't quite, think through that as often as I should have. And so this is a good lesson to me. At the end of the summer, have all your stuff in place, even if you don't need it. And so for me, I'll know that moving into next year, I will go ahead and have that 9-gauge wire in place. I will go ahead and have the row cover handy. That way, if I realize it's going to get low consecutively, I can just come out here and throw it over, and it's not that big of a deal. However, getting those systems in place, it is a little bit of work. So it's not the putting it on itself that's the biggest issue for us here. It's finding a way to properly secure it. So you need to have enough sandbags, maybe you have bricks, some clamps. With our beds here, it's really hard to clamp onto, which is our ideal method because it's the cheapest option instead of buying a bunch of sandbags. And we have bad gusts of wind, so we found even with sandbags, if we're not putting them every few feet, then it's still blowing up and catching wind and causing a major issue. And so this is one of those lessons to myself that it doesn't matter how long you've been growing food. It doesn't matter how much of an expert you may be at something. You're still gonna have fails. You're still gonna have things that you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened, which is exactly the boat I'm in. And I tell you guys this because trust me, if this can happen to me, it can happen to you. Make sure you're prepared. Make sure you are stocking the Weather Channel, especially if you are dependent on the crops that you're growing for food security. Like I mentioned, Nathan and I aren't. Thankfully, we have so much food. I'm still gonna be able to salvage a lot of this, and then I do have the high tunnel with all of these same things growing, minus the Chinese cabbage. So I know for me, there is some freedom there to have been able to have this mess up, but it certainly got me aware to not let it happen again. Well, friends, I'm about to get my harvesting knife and my basket and salvage as much as I can from the raised bed garden before the rain all weekend and the cold temperatures just make this situation a lot worse. But I hope you are enjoying your weekend. Don't forget, if you want to shop the sale in the shop, then the link for that is going to be down below. The code for 20% off is Black Friday. Just apply it at checkout. I've got all these fun little guides that I made. So I made guides for the foodie, for the baker, for the coffee lover, for the garden enthusiast, and you can click on those guides and then shop them. So I'm hoping that that's helpful for you guys. But thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'll talk to you soon.